How can anyone, whether they want to work in a language school or privately from their own laptop anywhere in the world, create a rewarding and impactful career teaching English as a second language, even if they are just starting out or have no teaching experience or ability? Hi, my name is Lynette Kim, and here on the TESOL Talk podcast, I aim to answer that very question.
What does your body language say about you as a teacher in the ESL classroom? Well, actually, it says a lot, because when you're teaching English as a second language, students don't understand when they're low level a lot of what you're actually saying, that verbal communication, and they rely heavily on non-verbal. Now, in saying that, there's also a danger. So for ESL teachers, particularly new ones that are nervous, you don't want to be overly animated. You definitely don't want to be hopping from one foot to the other. I don't know if you've ever been in a lecture or something where you can tell that the lecturer is nervous because they're fidgeting, they're moving around too much, it's distracting. They could be walking up and down. They might have a bit of a tell where they're, twiddling their fingers on the desk or shaking their foot. All these things are very, very distracting. And if a teacher is doing these type of repetitive movements, students pick up on it really quickly, and they smell blood in the water and they can tell you're nervous and they'll act up. So control that side of body language, anything that's related to nerves. Learn to hold space for yourself in the classroom and to take ownership of that and to stand firm and feel that you have something of value. Keep that uppermost in your mind. You have something of value. You have something the students need. And it's really important for you to get this across and communicate with them well. And if that's your focus and not on how you're feeling, students will pick up on that, and the atmosphere and energy in the room will change, and they'll become transfixed on you, the teacher, not for what you're doing, but for the message, the nonverbal message that you're conveying in that classroom. So they'll feel like, oh, this is important. I'm really going to learn here. So they'll pay more attention to you. Now, going into body language, and also we'll incorporate teacher talk in this. So this is how the teacher communicates or speaks to the ESL classroom. We want to look at this from different levels. So starting off with beginner level, and we'll do children first. With beginner level children, it's really necessary to be animated. Think Play School, think Sesame Street, think all of these children's shows where they're quite exaggerated in their body language. Now, they're not nervous, jerky, fast with their body language. In fact, they take it quite slow. They might be very animated and upbeat with it, but they're not, doing it excessively fast or anything. But what the purpose is to demonstrate the concrete reality that words represent. So this is your TPR, total physical response method here. And you need to be doing this with action verbs. So, if you're talking to kids about walking, you want to do walking, and you don't want to do that fast. You want to do it a little bit exaggerated, moving your body deliberately to make it very obvious the action that you're expressing. And you need to repeat this. Give students time to get that visual image and understand what's actually being taught, because at this level, particularly with children, nonverbal is probably more relied on by, I can't even say what percent, than verbal. Verbal is just extra noise that they have to figure out where that fits. So have the students mimicking the actions that you're doing, and this will help them because then they're physically doing this as well. And they'll feel confident to do it because the teacher's doing it. So young children learn from movement, from games, and so everything you're doing has to be physical along at the same time with that verbal. So keep that in mind. Now, when you're teaching adults, you do still want to keep good animated body language. You just don't want to seem like Mr. Bean or something. You don't want to be silly, but you want to mouth words clearly. And now you use body language to demonstrate. So you will do a walk, but you you just won't do it quite as exaggerated as for children. And you'll make sure that your body language mimics what you're saying and your facial expressions, so that all of these nonverbal cues can be used for your students to follow. So again, beginner level adults, you're going to use a lot of body language, and that's really important, but not overly exaggerated, but very clear. Now, when we get to the elementary level, and we're talking about the use of body language. Again, children come first and on their own. They will start to follow basic verbal instructions, so you will be able to do that. So you can actually tone down your body language just a little bit, where you are using body language, but you're not overdoing it. And so, you'll act out instructions, you'll demonstrate well using body language. And this actually goes for elementary level adults as well. You're able to use that body language, but just not have to make it quite so obvious and excessive. And so when we're going through to the next level, which is pre-intermediate, we're looking here at what we're going to do as far as teacher talk, or this it's the way that you speak, but we're doing this with body language too. So for the pre-intermediate level, we want to just make sure that we're using good body language, which is still just a little bit more than what you would ordinarily do in daily life. So you're still amping it up that bit, and you're demonstrating with your body as much as possible, a lot of action words, a lot of emotion, a lot of expression, that intonation. You're just making sure that all that's in there, but you just don't want to be excessive with it. At pre-intermediate level, you're generally getting the tweens. And so, you don't want them looking at you going, "Oh my goodness, my teacher's like crazy." So you're going to tone that down, but it just needs to still be obvious. And the same goes for adults too. Now, the next level is called intermediate, and this is the 50-50 level that I've talked about before, where students understand about 50% of what you say, and you can understand about 50% of what students are saying. Generally, this level, you're getting your teenagers and you're getting adults. So you still need to use body language. You need to, explain in a way that your body language flows with what you're saying, using hand gestures. You won't have to act out the verbs and any actions so much anymore, but more just your facial features you'll be using and your hands for emphasis. But it will flow on, so you still will use more body language at this level than what you would use with talking with your friends, native speakers. Now, the next level is the upper intermediate level. And by this stage, at upper intermediate level, students are actually capable of understanding conversations and following what you're saying. They have a really good vocabulary, and they can listen to intonation and things like that. So you really don't need to use a lot of body language. You would use normal body language that you would in everyday life, but make sure that they're following that body language and that they're using body language too. So you want to make sure at this level, mostly it's adults, that you get them feeling comfortable using their hands when they're explaining things. Have lessons about how they can use their hands to show different emotions and different levels of emotion and expression with their hands, supporting what they're actually saying in a very appropriate way. And we've got lots of hand gestures and things that we use in everyday life. So this body language is really important for students to pick up and use appropriately. Now, advanced level, we're actually taking it that bit further. So you're going to treat advanced level as 100% as a native speaker, and also, if not, going on towards professional speaking. So here, you would use inferences and you would use body language in a more professional way, so that you would have students practicing if they were giving a speech or a lecture, or if they had to stand up in front of a group of people or explain or demonstrate themselves. Get them showing and practicing that appropriate body language. So that's what you're teaching them in these instances, your body language. Business English is a good example of this. And I've even done business English classes where I've had students practicing handshakes, practicing greetings, the types of ways we use our body to communicate, and the way we come across because of these nonverbal communications. Lessons about these are really important at the advanced level.